What was the cruelest punishment your school used? The focus room had white walls, white floors, white ceiling, and one metal chair bolted to the center facing a blank wall. No windows, no clock, no books or paper or anything to look at except the empty white space that seemed to press in from all sides. Vice Principal Holloway called it a therapeutic intervention space designed to help students with attention difficulties learn to self-regulate. The rest of us knew it for what it was: 8 hours of sensory deprivation that left kids like me crying and begging to be let out. My ADHD diagnosis came with a prescription for medication that helped me focus, but it also came with a target on my back at Jefferson High School, where Holloway had decided that behavioral intervention mattered more than pills. She'd pull students out of class without warning, march us down to the basement where 3 focus rooms waited, and lock us inside for the entire school day. No lunch, no bathroom breaks unless we knocked and got permission. No stimulation except the humming fluorescent light overhead. I spent my first session in the focus room during October of my junior year after I'd forgotten to turn in a history assignment for the 3rd time that month. Mrs. Chen reported me to Holloway, who showed up at my classroom door wearing her usual gray pantsuit, an expression that suggested she smelled something rotten. She didn't ask if I had ADHD or if I'd taken my medication. She just gestured for me to follow her. We walked through the hallways while other students watched, and I felt my face burning. Down 2 flights of stairs to the basement where the air smelled like old concrete and cleaning chemicals. She unlocked one of 3 unmarked doors and told me to sit in the chair. 8 hours, she said. No phone, no books, no distractions. Just me and my thoughts learning to control my impulses. The door closed with a heavy click. The first hour wasn't terrible. I counted ceiling tiles and tried to estimate the room's dimensions. I made up stories about the white walls being a spaceship or an art gallery, but ADHD brains need stimulation the way lungs need oxygen. And after the first hour, I started feeling the panic creep in. I bounced my leg against the chair until my muscles ached. I hummed songs until my throat hurt. I started talking to myself just to hear something other than the fluorescent buzz. By hour 3, I was pacing circles around the chair like a prisoner. By hour 5, I was crying without quite knowing why, just feeling this desperate need to move or read or see something that wasn't blank white nothingness. By hour 7, I was knocking on the door begging Holloway to let me out, promising I'd never forget another assignment. She opened the door at exactly 3:15 when the school day ended and asked if I was ready to take responsibility for my actions. I nodded frantically and she let me leave. Mom picked me up and immediately noticed something was wrong. I couldn't sit still in the passenger seat, fidgeting with everything and talking too fast. She asked what happened and I told her about the focus room, about the 8 hours alone with no stimulation. Her face went hard and she drove straight to the school instead of home. We found Holloway in her office and Mom demanded to know what gave her the right to lock students in isolation rooms all day. Holloway smiled, that professional smile administrators use when explaining why their terrible decisions are actually good. She said the focus rooms were evidence-based interventions designed to teach self-regulation skills to students with executive function deficits. She had research supporting the approach, studies showing that reducing external stimulation helped ADHD brains learn to focus internally. Mom asked to see these studies and Holloway said they were proprietary to the consulting firm she'd hired. Mom said she'd be filing a complaint with the district. We left and Mom was quiet in that way that meant she was furious but trying to stay calm. At home, she spent the evening researching sensory deprivation and ADHD, making notes and occasionally swearing under her breath. She found nothing supporting Holloway's claims. Every legitimate source said the opposite, that people with ADHD needed more stimulation, not less, that isolation and boredom were essentially torture for brains wired like mine. She called 3 lawyer friends that night describing the focus rooms. 2 said it was terrible but probably legal since the school could claim educational necessity. 1 said it might violate disability accommodation laws, but proving harm would be difficult. Mom told me she'd fight this, but I could see in her eyes she wasn't sure how. The complaint Mom filed went nowhere. The district sent a form letter saying they'd reviewed the focus room program and found it compliant with all regulations. The letter included a paragraph about how schools had broad discretion in implementing behavioral interventions. Mom called the district office 6 times trying to reach someone who'd actually discuss the issue, but she kept getting transferred to voicemail boxes that were perpetually full. She finally got through to a director named Phyllis Ramos, who listened and then explained that Holloway's program had been vetted by an outside consulting firm and approved by the superintendent. Parents were free to withdraw their children if they disapproved, Phyllis said, but the district stood behind its educators. Mom asked to see the research, and Phyllis said that was privileged information. The call ended with Mom slamming her phone down hard enough to crack the screen. I went back to school the next Monday trying to be perfect, so I wouldn't end up in the focus room again. But what happened next changed everything. Full story is linked below or on my channel.